The gist of the film was these three kids who had all been wronged by the police in one way or another essentially decide to kidnap a cop and put him through the same thing that they were put through. And of course, spirals into this whole like big local conspiracy and this and that. But I don't know, I couldn't get past Act 1. Every time I tried to write the script, I couldn't find that drive to get me through Act 2 and into a decent Act 3. But it started getting realer and realer. It's like there were, the police were always an issue, and I was not blind to that writing my script, but there were more and more real life things happening that were pulling me more and more into the documentary aspect, where it's like, why would I make a narrative? It's like I could make the best narrative in the world about this subject, but it'll still just be a fictional story at the end of the day. And so, I struggled with it for a bit. And then, I remember what the exact impetus was, but it was like late 2013 where I was like getting ready to go into it and tackle this project. And then January 2014, I had to go out to the East Coast because Corey moved out to California, my best friend and producer of Loose Change. So flew out to upstate New York. We drove back across the country together. All found a place in Long Beach, me, Corey, and my lady Victoria. And the officers involved in the Kelly Thomas beating had just gotten acquitted in January. So I was on the road when they were acquitted. So I missed that first like big rally in protest, but there was a second one coming up in February, and that's the footage that you saw at the beginning of the teaser. But there was this rally coming up for Kelly Thomas, and I was like, yo, Corey, you want to go up, check out this rally? And like it was pretty much my dry run. I was like, I'm going to go up, I'm going to film this rally, and I'm just going to kind of get my feet wet and just kind of see what happens. And I didn't get my feet wet so much as I was pushed into the pool. Yeah. Because I showed up there and we documented the event. It was pretty peaceful, no arrests, there was no big issues whatsoever. And as the night's winding down, it was the old cover photo on the Facebook page for a while, but there was the line of protesters on the sidewalk and the line of the cops in the street, and there was this kind of gap in between them. And so I took this picture like right in between. And right as I'm taking that picture, and you can actually see the female officer's face in the picture as she's about to say, get out of the street. So I took that picture, got out of the street, and as I'm standing there on the sidewalk, there's this guy sitting on a bench, just chilling on the bench, watching things wind down. And I don't know if it's because I was standing right there or I had a camera or both, but this guy just kind of gets my attention. He's like, have you ever heard of Bobby Henning? I'm like, no, I haven't. And then he starts showing me the LA Times article, and he's like, I was the eyewitness. I was there that night. And so I made sure I took down the name, texted myself Bobby Henning, and then Ruben told me Bobby's parents are actually in town this weekend for a candlelight vigil. It's been 2 years since he was killed. So I was like, all right, well then I'll be going to that too. I went to the rally for the Hennings, and Liz, try to keep this brief, but I pretty much immediately fell in love with Liz Henning because she showed up and told this story about how Liz and Everett were there just kind of like scoping out the neighborhood where they were going to have their vigil. They were there a couple hours earlier. And I guess like a cop drove by and asked Liz, like, hey, is there supposed to be a protest or something planned later? And Liz is like, oh, no, it's not a protest. It's a vigil for my son that was killed by the police. And the cop just kind of sits there, doesn't really know what to say. And Liz is like, do you mind if I take your picture? Officer's like, I would prefer it if you didn't. Liz goes, well, too bad. Click. And I fell in love with Liz Henning right there, because here's a woman who lost her son and is just FTP, for life. That's her life now. So I went to the rally for Bobby Henning. I met Liz and Everett. I met the Thaxtons. I met Tracy Davenport. I met everybody. I met pretty much all the family members of people killed by police in LA, or all the major ones at that time. And it just kind of snowballed from there. So my dry run got wet very quickly.
RM's information received that 2 male Negroes on motorbikes with walkie-talkies in the vicinity of 5900 block South Avalon. 2 male Negroes with walkie-talkies, 5900 block South Avalon.
And so that time period right there is a very critical period, looking back at Watts. And here we are, the year 2014. Okay, talking about Michael Brown here a couple of days ago. Has anything really changed? So law enforcement is one of those things where we need to humble ourselves, okay, cops. They need to realize that they are serving the people. It's not about they got a badge, that they got a gun, or that they can put you in jail and there's nothing you can do about it. Okay? That is what they would love for you to believe, that they can dominate you.
There's a war going on in the streets, a war too heavy even for the police. Sure, they train K&Ls, catch those thieves, then release murderers to the streets on a short leash so they can do it again. Busting out a miss, never go back in. What? Where's the justice? I guess nothing's changed since we traded barbers for Jesus. We need no other reason to negate the cops this season. While you're busy harassing me, someone just got shot. Broad deal like something just ain't right. They got all of these criminals busting like some sentinels. Grade AV, that's not the problem. Got a gang squad headed up by a sergeant who doesn't dare to come down, visit my way, for he swears that he won't get to see another day. This one will make people pay attention. From the south, this one will make people pay attention. To the north, this one will make people pay attention. Over east, this one will make people pay attention. And the west, this one will make people pay attention. JA, this one will make people pay attention. USA, this one will make people pay attention. Canada, this one will make people pay attention. All around the world, why are they attacking us? Maybe because they ticked at us. Why don't they go back to dust? Come on, don't be ridiculous. It's probably occurred over and over until these guys got bolder and their sons got older. Feelings started to smolder right out of their huts. Now you and I, yes, we're left to clean up. Wait, I found a culprit. Say, what's your name? Muzzle-tate. And my English no range. I have me 6 wives and I love my life. Please let me go now. Wasn't I polite? Say what you mean and stop holding back. I wanna kill somebody. What you think of that? Hey, it's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. We'll leave both parties blind, but the truth will still stand. This one will make people pay attention. From the south, this one will make people pay attention. To the north, this one will make people pay attention. Over east, this one will make people pay attention. And the west, this one will make people pay attention. JA, this one will make people pay attention.